Good afternoon, everybody. Mark Clements, Artistic Director of Milwaukee Rep here, continuing the What's the Tea series. I've got three great guests with me today who are, I find, extremely inspirational. Three very young men, all from the Milwaukee area, born and bred Milwaukee, still living here. Lee Ellis, Braylon Stevens, Damonte Henning, and I'll tell you a little bit about them all. I am drinking a cup of British tea that actually my mom made me in her apartment where I am right now because we have no internet at the rep right now. I think the storm at the weekend took it out. It's a very strong British cup of tea. Damonte, what are you rocking there?
I got a little bit of H2O in this vitamin water water bottle, so that's what I'm drinking right now.
Excellent. Braylon, what do you got?
Staying hydrated with the H2O as well. So I got to keep the cup filled with water throughout the day.
And Andre, what's happening there? What you got?
A little flavor for you. Lipton peach iced tea.
That sounds the most interesting offering of us all, so thanks. I'm going to just tell you a little bit about our guests. Lee Ellis, who is the founder and executive director of We Got This, Inc., founded 7 years ago in the 53206 zip code. We Got This focuses on young Black males who thought they could not find their way and then help them through learning agriculture. Fantastic organization. Braylon Stevens, a rising finance actor, leader, and entrepreneur, and founder and CEO of MBRACED Culture, LLC. He's created a lifestyle of influence of brand with the foundation of the arts and recently celebrating 2 years of operation. In 2014, he won the Under 13 Scholar Award and will be entering his senior year of college at DePaul University in Chicago. His Milwaukee Rep acting credits are Color Purple, Raisin in the Sun. He's appeared in one of our rep galas, and he's part of the Professional Training Institute, the PTI. Then Damonte Henning, local actor extraordinaire, the artistic director of theater arts organization Lights, Camera, Soul. And he's also appeared in many rep productions, including Christmas Carol, Dreamgirls, and I think most recently Junk. Is that correct? No, probably most recently Christmas Carol.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm so happy to have you all here with us. Hopefully the internet gods and the connections on Zoom will hold fast and we'll be able to have a smooth ride here. I'd like to start off just by asking you to just talk a little bit about your work, what your current passions are, particularly in relation to We Got This, Embrace Culture, and Lights, Camera, Soul, and the things you're doing right now. Damonte, why don't you kick us off with what's happening?
Yeah, so as you mentioned, I'm a local actor here. I've worked a lot at the Milwaukee Rep and other theaters in Milwaukee and Wisconsin. And so Lights, Camera, Soul has been around since 2013. We started off as a student organization on the campuses of UW Milwaukee and Alverno College. And we founded the organization because we realized that there was a need for a lot of young Black actors to continue to develop their craft and working in theater. And so that's how we started as a student organization. Fast forward to now, we have launched a podcast called Blacker the Berry, which debuted in October of 2019. And this came about because we were at a standstill for a second, because we were like, producing live events can be expensive. It can take a toll, especially when you have when it's a grassroots organization and you only have a certain number of people. So we thought to ourselves, how can we still remain relevant and how can we still put out important content for the community? So we came up with Blacker the Berry. And what Blacker the Berry is it's a storytelling platform for Black artists, whether you're a theater artist, a musical artist, any type of artist. And we give them that platform to tell their stories and their experiences. It's not necessarily experiences working in your career. It could be experiences of working, how you manage to juggle your family life and your career as an artist. And I've had the opportunity to have stories from both Andre whose story is entitled Hands in the Soil, and most recently, Braylon Stevens, whose story is entitled Authentic State of Mind. And our goal in producing Black of the Berry is to shine a light on these voices and bring some positivity and hope so that other Black artists can relate to these stories and so they can feel empowered. And so that's our goal in producing Black of the Berry. We receive tremendous support, great feedback, and we're on our second season, and we have a lot more in store for the community. So thank you.
I listened to both of the episodes that you have with Andre and with Braylon, and they were like really, really excellent. I think it's a terrific thing, and I urge everybody to tune into it. What's the best way of doing that, to finding you?
So the best way to do that is if you have, I mean, it's 2020, so pretty much everybody has a smartphone. So Black of the Berry is available on all streaming platforms. If you have an Apple device, there is a little purple icon. I have a visual to show you. If you can see, you probably can't see it, but there's a purple icon that says podcast. If you have an Apple device, you just click on that and type in Black of the Berry, and we'll come up, and it'll be under Lights, Camera, Soul. If you have Spotify, you can type in Black of the Berry. It's on there. If you have an Android device, you just go to your podcast app and type in Black of the Berry. Or if you download any podcast app, whether it's on an Android device or an Apple device, you download any podcast app and type in Black of the Berry, we'll be right there for you. So,
thank you, and congrats on it again. It's a really awesome podcast. Braylon, tell us a little bit about Embraced culture and you know how the genesis of it, what you know, to where you are now, what it's doing. Give us the lowdown on what your company that you've been going for 2 years now. Congratulations. Tell us a little bit about what you're doing.
Yeah, so Embrace culture is similar, just kind of looking at my background. I was really into the performing arts, still am now, but pretty much use that as a foundation of Embrace culture. But looking back, just growing up, I was definitely more so interested in the performing arts versus the sports, and, you know, pretty much I would say a lot of the things that my community tends to focus on, and taking that, looking at that growing up, being quote unquote what we would say different in certain situations was seen as not the best way to do things. So looking at that growing up, like I said, really into theater, I continued to just pursue what it was that I was truly passionate about, and found that theater was the outlet and the thing that I enjoyed the most. And so looking, like, I'll fast forward, I would say about my freshman year of college, coming right out of high school, that's when I really began to embrace what it was that I truly enjoyed, which was the performing arts and acting and theater. And I will often have conversations about authenticity and what that looks like, and how do you be your best self in various spaces from an authentic lens. And I began to talk to friends, people in the community, and then I found that being myself is what allowed me to get into rooms that I personally wouldn't thought that I've gotten into. And so from that, I wouldn't say it kind of like transcended into business, just because, like, using that as a story to share my story and kind of how I was able to do the things that I've been able to do. People will reach out and say, hey, like, come speak to my classroom, talk about authenticity, talk about what that means and how to be your best self in various areas. And from there, it was like, hey, why not turn this into some sort of business? Because it had became a business in a way, as people were like paying me to, you know, speak to specific programs and things. And so I use Embrace culture. So if you realize it is spelled embrace, but without the E, and that's more so to be yourself, to be authentic in who you are, but to understand that you still have a similar story to those around you, even though it may be different. And using that as my primary marketer and go-to word in those conversations and brand development workshops that I had later created, people was loving the message, and it was like, I want a shirt. I love what you're saying. I love what you're doing. How can I support? And it has soon then ventured into an apparel pipeline as well. So Embrace Culture does have 3 pipelines. It's outreach, which is where we do most of the brand development workshops, going into classrooms, talk about like selling yourself and how do you monetize your personal brand. And then we have promotion, which is where we partner with different organizations or artists or whoever the case may be, and provide like networking events and different ways to talk about authenticity in different spaces. And then apparel pipeline, which we do have hats and shirts available as the prime marketer. So I would say it's been a unique journey thus far, just kind of how it formed. I personally, like I said, didn't think that it would be a business when I first started. It was more so just me being myself and having these authentic conversations with those in my surroundings. And here I am today, now 2 years after, celebrating something that I personally wouldn't thought would be what it is.
I don't want to embarrass you here, but like when our paths first crossed, it was because you were in a production of Raisin in the Sun that we were producing at the Rep.
Yeah.
How old were you then?
What was that? That was 8th grade, so I was about 13, I believe.
Yeah.
Around there. Well, no,
and I
take that back. That was Color Purple. Raisin in the Sun was.
I was going to say.
Yeah, I think it was about that. Yeah.
I think, yeah, you might have been a little bit younger, because I'm thinking it was around about 2013 that we did that show.
Yeah, about 12 or 13. Yeah.
And I just remember, like, you know, I do remember meeting you like very early on and hearing you and kind of thinking, that kid is so smart. That kid is going to go a long way. And it's been really fantastic watching your journey, your evolution, keeping theater close to your heart and how you've made that work for you, and, you know, watching your travels, you know, around the world and stuff, literally, and on your journey, you know, and it's been just really inspirational. So I'm so kind of like proud to have been seeing that journey and watching you on that road. It's awesome, man. Okay, we're going to switch over to Andre. So I first became acquainted with Andre when his grandson appeared as the little Coalhouse Walker Jr. in our production of Ragtime. And it was great. Andre was there every night on that show, which was a real landmark production for us, and brought his adorable little grandson, who's kind of 12 now or something. I think he was 5 at the time, wasn't he, Andre?
Correct. Yes, sir.
Andre, tell us about We Got This, because your story has been like amazing to follow. I mean, like, it is so powerful and authentic, and like your commitment to it in the long term and the results that it has yielded, continues to do so. I think it is just like an unbelievably awesome story. Share it with us.
I'm excited to be a part of the call. Thank you, Mark. I find it interesting that I'm the one that was the actor all of the years and traveled the country as an actor, doing that acting, and then my 5-year-old grandson comes along to get a part with the Rep, and I couldn't. So thank you for that too, Mark. You should keep it in the family.
Noted.
It is. We got this incorporated. But I do have to say to Braylon that I'm extremely impressed with you, young man, and God bless everything that you do. DiMonte Henning, I know very well since he was a young man. In fact, I directed him twice in a couple of community productions, one being Telling It Like It Is, and then Jitney by August. And I knew the promise that he was going to bring to this arts community, and he's not let me down in one bit. So good to see you, son. I love you. We Got This Incorporated was founded in June 2014 on the corner of 9th and Ring Street, right here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where they said it was nationally. They said it was the worst zip code in America where you could raise a black child, particularly a black boy. It also had some other disparities that were attached to it. It has a lot of negatives, but for some reason in June 2014, I moved to 9th and Ring Street. Had no choice. Finances dictated that for my wife and I. The first week that we were here on 9th and Ring Street, I went out this house to the corner store across the street. Those of you that grew up in the hood, you know what a corner store is. And I went in the corner store. When I came out, I went back in the house. No sooner than I shut the door, 6 gunshots rang out. They were so vivid that I thought someone was shooting at me. My wife came from the kitchen, she gasped, but when I looked out the window, there was a young man laying dead in the streets. So that inspired me to watch that whole fiasco unfold, and it was devastating to see how someone's loved one is tended to once they have been murdered. And as I saw an empty field next to the house we stayed in, I asked the children, what was this supposed to be? It had a couple tattered boxes in it. The little girl put her hands on her hips, said it's supposed to be a garden, but don't nobody never grow nothing in it. So I said at that moment, well, maybe we need to take our hands off the trigger and put them back in the soil. And we got busy working. And now the number 2 highest crime block in the city is no longer on the list. And I think it's because the people came together. We developed a program based on a little 11-year-old boy that was going to be arrested by the police for breaking in cars and houses. We went to the 5th District Police Station, and to make a long story short, requested that he be granted the time in the garden, the community garden that we're calling We Got This, and that we were going to help him to get his life together. Close to 100 little black boys, 12 to 16 years old, who had to be on time, coming to a garden because they wanted the love of men and many, and also to collect $20 that was donated to them by you, the people, who for 7 years have been coming to this corner continuously every day now or any time. We operate free and clear of debt. We help young black men get their life back. Many of them never knew some of the things that I love you, or what it means to be called son, or to be told that you can. Yes, you can. And that's what we do with the program. The we is me, upside down, any way you look at it. We got this. I'm happy to be on the call and glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, the garden is beautiful. Number one, it's just got a beautiful energy about it. And you've expanded across the road now. Tell us a bit about what you're doing with that orchard.
Yeah, there was a house over there that was a trouble house. And I mean, when I say trouble, it was major trouble. We were able to purchase the land for $1, but the city did raise the house up off the land. And now it's a fruit orchard that has 7 trees planted in it. And each tree is committed to a young African-American male that lost his life tragically within the 7-year time that we've been in the garden, either worked in the garden or were affiliated somehow. But one tree, the 7th tree, is dedicated to an elderly woman who passed last year who had dementia, who would come to the garden and he would read to her and do videos with her dementia, and her family expressed how she remembered the garden and remembered Peanut, and when she came, she was very peaceful. So that fruit orchard is really going to be like a peace garden where elders and our loved ones who have passed on can be remembered somehow.
What do you need there? Like, how can people help? Do you welcome visitors there? What do you actually need to keep this program? I mean, I'm going to be really blatant about asking people how they can help you.
I like what DiMonte said, hands in the soil. He pinned it right there. That's what we need. We need to their hands are in the soil. Incredible things happen when they can look into the eyes of somebody else who is hoping for them. So we need people to come, put your hands in the soil, help pull those weeds, bring some soil, things that you know that can help a garden. If you want to come and watch, but be useful by bringing some food, things like that, we need that. And of course, you can always go to our website, we got this, mke.com, and it directs you on how to give. And we thank you, Mark, for that.
Here we are, right, in unprecedented times, in the middle of 2 pandemics going on, running concurrently in this country. You know, you are influencers, all of you guys in your community, in our city of Milwaukee, agents of change. What do you hope, if we were having this conversation this time next year, what would you like to see a progress made in terms of the situation that we find ourselves in on these 2 pandemics that are, you know, running our lives right now and need addressing?
Before I go into that, I just want to say that I really admire both Braylon and under Lee Ellis' work. It's been a pleasure to hear you guys' stories. You guys are inspiration to me. You guys keep me motivated, so thank you. What I would like to see a year from now, something that keeps resonating with me is like systemic change. I think that it's one thing to symbolically say that we support, the Black Lives Matter movement, or we support BIPOC individuals, but I think what's really the key is changing the system and the infrastructure of a lot of organizations and our government. And I think that's something that I would like to see change. And that's whether it's, going to protests or, marching for legislation. I think that's what I would like to see in the next year.
Braylon, do you want to?
Yeah. I would definitely echo what DiMonte said in terms of systematic or systemic change. And I say this because I actually just had a conversation earlier this week about what does change look like, and what does everlasting change look like versus just change in a moment. And looking at kind of some of the efforts that have been pushed about within community, within corporations, and some of the things that they are looking to do. When all the George Floyd things were happening and the protests and the things that were happening on a daily basis, we've seen kind of like this drive and determination to make change happen. But then we look back now 2 weeks, 3 weeks later, and we're like, where's the drive? Is it still going? Some of the things that we've implemented or said that we were going to do, kind of what progress have we made since we started that? So looking forward, I definitely want to see, like DiMonte said, that's a systemic change, and kind of seeing how can we measure, or what does measurement of success look like within some of the goals that a lot of people and groups have put into place. What progress have we made in that area? So that's just kind of my take.
Andre?
Man, Mark, the energy of the young is to be admired, isn't it? Braylon and DiMonte expressing what they expect a year from now. I'll be 60 next month, August 13th. You could have never told me that I would live to be 60 years old. One reason is health conditions and things like that. So a year from now, I want to be breathing. You know what I mean? I want to be breathing better. But for us all, I want to see happen what you did today, what you brought together. Mark, I think I'm a little older than you, but the generations and me, I didn't know Braylon before today. I didn't know Braylon's name, I don't think, before today. And that's a shame, because I've been in this theater community a long time. So I hope a year from now we can be able to continue to do what you did today, bringing us together. And for Braylon and DiMonte to know that I, the old man, is available to them. And that's what I want to do for the young men in the protest. All of my sons, Khalil Coleman, Frank Nitty Jr., they all know who they are. I want to say to you all, keep walking and keep stepping, but learn and share that. So a year from now, I want to see us congregating without viruses and diseases, without hatred and racism. Is that possible? We have to wait a year from now and see.
Just mindful of like time here, and just because I love hearing from you guys. I guess the challenges of the times we're living in are unprecedented. There's so many pressures and scary things going on. For everybody, I think particularly for the BIPOC community as well, and there's so much uncertainty in the air, right now. I'm like, if you look on Facebook and on social media, the endless apps for meditation and being able to control panic and anxiety and stuff, it's just like endless. And trying to how we filter the news, how do we protect ourselves from endless stream of news without burying our head in the sand? Like sometimes we have to take time out. And I think everybody's dealing with that in their own individual ways. I think one of the things that I think is, that I get very inspired by you guys is like, and we all need to be inspired by is like, how do we get out of bed in the morning? And one of the things is that we have to have some sense of hope, right? And find pleasure and in the moment, in the day. I mean, I think this is a time for us where we've all had to kind of hit the reset button on a lot of expectations and be still more, perhaps, than we've been in, than we were just a few months ago, dashing here, there, and everywhere. I think I hear that story reoccurring. What are the things that have, during this time, have given you hope and that have given you solace? And, that could be family. It could be, developing a new interest in cooking or whatever. I would love to know what has been, during this very, very challenging, difficult time, what has been the thing that's helped you get out of bed in the morning? Obviously, in addition to the things that the organizations that you're running that are by definition inspirational, what are other things that might inspire people out there? How you keep going and what keeps you hopeful? Andre, do you want to start with that?
Yep, it's the garden. I had no idea in my life. I never was interested in gardening, but growing food and what it does for people and and seeing how people react to it when they see it. The other thing is, as long as I'm planting and growing and tilling in the garden, I'm tending to my business. And so I don't watch the news. It gets blocked out. A lot of things I don't find out until I get back home. So it's a sense of escape, and I'm there hoping that someone comes in that needs something that we got. And so that's why all that is there, we're free to give. So the garden brings me a lot of peace, tranquility, hope, love, and stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I can, that vibe that comes from that garden is quite something else. Out of interest, what happens with the produce? What do you do with it? Do you distribute it amongst those that grow it? What do you do?
It's free for anybody that comes. Come get yourself.
Beautiful. Braylon, give us your take on that.
Yeah, I would definitely say in terms of hope, man, I would definitely say my surroundings keep me hopeful. Individuals such as Mr. Ellis, like I said, I mean, this is my first time interacting, but to see that I have people who are there cheering me on, even if it's not like right in front of me, that I think that's what continues to drive my desires to succeed, my desires to be a representation of individuals who look like me, and also doing the best that I can do. Because I always tell myself, whenever I step into a room, it's not just for myself, but I know that 9 times out of 10, the impression that I leave on myself is the impression that I leave when it comes to the representation of individuals that look like me. And always keeping that in mind, I think, is what keeps me hopeful, to know that there is opportunity out there. It's just whether or not you be your best self and take advantage of it. And then to pour back and to talk about your experiences and how to be a part of the things that you've been able to be a part of. Me personally, been able to part so that someone that's behind me can come and do the same thing. So I would say for sure my surroundings and the people that I get to have contact with, the interaction with, definitely keeps me hopeful.
D.
Yeah, Braylon, I like what you said about how you represent not just yourself, but everybody else, because I feel like a win for one of us is a win for us all. So I love that you said that. Something that gives me hope is my family. I have a wife, I have a 10-month-old son and an 8-year-old daughter, and seeing them gives me hope. It's like I have a reason, a purpose to do what it is that I do. Something else that gives me hope, wants me to wake up, is art. Art, man, creativity. Like whenever, and I've been doing this my entire life. Like in terms of like whenever I feel just angry, or whenever I just feel frustrated or sad, I just put some music on and I dance, or I look at a monologue, or I look at something that's expressive, because it can be easy for us to hold things in and to get like this and get rigid. But at some point, we have to find a way to release that. And for me, art and creativity is like the perfect expression to release that. And then just what we're doing here with Lights, Camera, Soul and Black of the Berry. We're in a very historic and pivotal time in history, and I want to be able to contribute something to say that I was a part of this and I left something behind. And the history books are written 50 years from now. I wonder what my children will say. Well, Dad, what were you doing during this? I want to be able to say I was doing this, I was doing that, I was doing protest, I was doing something that made the world a better place for people.
And DiMonte, I was gonna say too. I think. Oh, sorry, Mark.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say no. Like DiMonte, creativity is huge. Also, like DiMonte said, because I look at last night, amid like our circumstances and kind of things that's going on, we turned on some music in the living room, and like my dad is up dancing, my mom is up dancing, my sister is up dancing, and even just thinking about how they've complained early in the day of how long, I got to go back to work tomorrow, but to still have kind of that moment of interaction where we were just loving on each other, laughing, and just being there for each other. I think it definitely that's the hope right there of knowing that trouble don't last always, and there's always light at the end of the tunnel. So I think that's definitely something that continues to drive my day-to-day for sure.
Well, whatever happens, maybe we should set a date for this time next year and just see like how far we came. Maybe that would be a good like follow-up to this conversation, I would just like to say that in addition, whatever happens in the next year or the next few months, I think you guys have already created an extraordinary legacy for yourselves, and that legacy will grow. You've got plenty of time to add to that, but it's just admire all of you, and you're very inspirational guys. And as I say, I think what you've achieved, if you didn't achieve anything else beyond that, would be extraordinary. And so I look forward to kind of seeing how you develop and your organizations and your impact on the community. And I want to thank you so much for sharing your time with us today. And I hope people who are listening kind of reach out and get on your websites and check out your what you're doing and connect with you and see how they can support you or contribute to what you're doing. So I want to thank you guys. I appreciate you spending the time with me on What's the Tea.
Thanks, Mark.
Be well.
That's all right. Thank you.